Hello, I'm Bill Cox. In this video I'd like to show you how the three non-math websites in the PassGED family of websites can help you get 3/4 of the short questions on the GED science test, the GED social studies test, and the GED language arts test. I begin by going to passged.weebly.com. On this web page are links to all four of the PassGED websites. I'm going to bring up the science website, the social studies website, and the language arts website. You can't see the tabs on your screen, but what this does is let us look at the three side by side. I can move back and forth. Now, in each of these three tests, 80 to 85% of the points come from the short questions. All three websites apply the same four-step system to answer short questions. Now, the content of questions is different, of course. Questions in the science test are about science and so forth. But in almost every question in all three tests, the questions themselves contain what you need to know about science or social studies or language arts. Suppose, for example, you encounter a question about plate tectonics on the science test. The question itself will contain what you need to know about plate tectonics. There's no payoff to studying about that. There is a big payoff to studying test-taking skills, and that's the emphasis here. Now, we're in the science website. Look at the headings. There's an answer section which explains the four-step system. You can see in the drop-down menu, and there are two examples sections. If in the science section also, there is a science section. This contains only five essential science skills you need, with lessons and practice questions. Now, in the social studies test, there's also an answer section about the four-step system and two examples section. In the language arts test, there is actually another separate system. There are two grammar questions in the language arts test, and so this grammar section helps you learn how to avoid 8 grammar errors, and there are internet lessons and examples. But otherwise, there is an answer section about the four-step system, and in this case there are 3 sections of examples. So the organization is the same in all 3. Now, back to the social studies website. Just arbitrarily, let's look at the 4 steps in the 4-step system. First, you skim the first part of the question, which I call the bundle of information. Second, you read the instructions in the question carefully. Third, you answer the question using what you've learned in your skimming and reading, and then, if necessary, step 4, you guess. Now, some of the specifics change from test to test. In language arts, for example, how you skim the text depends on whether the text explains something or tells a story. In social studies, there are some tricky questions. The website shows you how to answer. In the 2 grammar questions in language arts, you don't need the entire 4-step system. In social studies and science, but not in language arts, you have to notice whether you can answer the question directly or whether you have to answer indirectly by eliminating incorrect choices. These specifics are all in the websites, but they're all details. The 4-step system is the same. So just, for example, let's look at one of the 50 examples here in social studies. And we have notes about skimming the bundle information, step 1, notes about reading instructions, step 3, 2, 3, 4. And if you go to the science test and look at an example, just arbitrarily, notes about skimming the bundle of information, notes about reading the instructions, answering the questions, and guessing. So it's the same 4-step system. In language arts, if you go to an example, you see the paragraph about skimming at the beginning, because each text covers 6 to 8 different questions, but then there are notes about steps 2, 3, and 4 in the 4-step method. So the system is the same. Now, to get the most benefit from these examples as you're studying, I suggest in the websites that you try to answer each question yourself first before looking at any of these notes. So in each of the tests, there are lots of examples. Where do they come from? Well, the best source is the free practice tests from GED Testing Service, but there are not enough examples there. So I've drawn additional examples from, and I'm in the social studies, from Cracking the GED Test, a test preparation book from Princeton Review. It's the only other source I've found in which the questions are like the ones on the real test. If you can't find a copy, you can buy one from Amazon for about $17. Now, by applying this same four-step system, you should be able to get 3/4 of the short questions in each of the three tests. And if you can also get 3/4 of the points on the writing questions in those tests, and if you can also get 150 points on the math test, all of which the GED system explains how to do, the PassGED system explains how to do, then you can pass all four tests and get on with your life. Now, the intro section contains a page that makes it easy for you to send me your comments and suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and good luck on the tests.